Hey Reddit, I'm in a really tough spot and could use some advice. I'm Zoe, 18F, and I've always felt like the black sheep of my family. My parents, Diana, 46F, and Greg, 49M, have always favored my older sister Cassie, 21F. Growing up, it was always clear that Cassie was the golden child, and I was just there. For as long as I can remember, my parents have showered Cassie with attention, praise, and support, while I've been left to fend for myself. When we were kids, Cassie's artwork always got prime placement on the fridge, while mine was tucked away in a drawer. In elementary school, I remember working really hard on a science project about the solar system. I spent weeks crafting each planet out of papier-mâché and researching facts to present. When I showed it to my parents, they barely glanced at it before turning their attention back to Cassie's math homework. It was crushing. As we got older, the favoritism only became more apparent. In middle school, I joined the debate team and discovered I had a real talent for public speaking. I was excited to finally have something that was mine, something I excelled at. But even when I won competitions, my parents' reaction was lukewarm at best. They'd say things like, "That's nice, honey," before quickly changing the subject to Cassie's latest swimming achievement. Speaking of swimming, that was Cassie's thing. She was a natural in the water and joined the swim team in high school. My parents never missed a single one of her meets. They'd cheer from the stands, take dozens of photos, and always treat her to a celebratory dinner afterward, whether she won or lost. Meanwhile, I was lucky if they remembered to pick me up from debate practice. The favoritism extended to birthdays and holidays, too. Cassie would get lavish gifts and parties while I'd be lucky to get a card. One year when I was 14, I spent weeks dropping hints about this art set I really wanted for my birthday. I even left the catalog open on the kitchen table with the item circled. When the day came, my parents gave me a $20 gift card to a bookstore and said they forgot to get me a proper gift. I was disappointed but not surprised. Meanwhile, they threw Cassie an elaborate Sweet 16 party just a month later, complete with a DJ, catered food, and a new car. Yes, a car. I couldn't believe it. I tried for years to win their approval. I got good grades, participated in extracurriculars, helped around the house, but nothing was ever good enough. My accomplishments were always met with indifference, while Cassie got praised for the smallest things. Once, I stayed up all night to finish a history paper and got an A+. My teacher even wrote a note saying it was one of the best papers she'd ever read. When I showed it to my mom, she just said, "That's what we expect from you," and went back to helping Cassie with her college applications. It really did a number on my self-esteem growing up, I started to believe that maybe I just wasn't as good or as worthy as Cassie. I withdrew into myself, spending more and more time alone in my room. I threw myself into my studies and my debate team, hoping that if I just achieved enough, my parents would finally notice me. But no matter what I did, it never seemed to be enough. I remember one particularly painful incident during my junior year of high school. I had made it to the state finals for debate, and it was a big deal. The competition was on a Saturday, and I had been preparing for weeks. I asked my parents if they would come watch, and they initially agreed. I was so excited. Finally, they would see what I was capable of. The morning of the competition, I came downstairs ready to go, only to find my parents in their pajamas. They looked surprised to see me dressed up and asked where I was going. When I reminded them about the debate finals, my dad's face fell. He said, "Oh, sweetie, I'm so sorry. We forgot that was today. Cassie has a big swim meet and we promised we'd be there." I was crushed. I ended up taking the bus to the competition alone. I won first place that day, but it felt hollow. When I got home and tried to share my excitement, my parents were too busy celebrating Cassie's third-place finish in her swim meet to really listen. That night, I cried myself to sleep, clutching my trophy and wondering why I wasn't enough. Things came to a head last month on my 18th birthday. After years of disappointment, I had modest expectations, maybe a nice family dinner or small celebration. Instead, my parents completely forgot. I came downstairs that morning to find them excitedly planning Cassie's 22nd birthday party happening the following week. They were discussing caterers and decorations, completely oblivious to the fact that it was my birthday. When I reminded them, my mom just said, "Oh right, happy birthday, sweetie," without even looking up from her party planning notebook. I was crushed. I retreated to my room and cried for hours. Later that evening, I overheard my parents and Cassie laughing and chatting in the living room. I went downstairs, hoping maybe they had planned a surprise for me after all. Instead, I found them watching home movies of Cassie as a kid. They didn't even acknowledge me when I walked in. That was the last straw. I couldn't hold back anymore, and I exploded. I told them how hurt and neglected I felt all these years. How it's not fair that Cassie gets all the love and attention while I'm treated like an afterthought. How I'm sick of feeling invisible in my own family. I brought up all the missed events, the forgotten promises, the constant comparisons to Cassie. Years of pent-up hurt and anger came pouring out. My parents were shocked. They tried to dismiss my feelings and said I was being dramatic. My dad told me to stop being jealous of my sister and to grow up. Cassie just sat there looking uncomfortable, not saying a word to defend me. I was so angry and hurt that I stormed out of the house. I spent the night at my best friend Mia's place, crying and ranting about my family. When I came home the next day, things were tense. My parents acted like nothing had happened. I tried to talk to them again about how I was feeling, but they shut me down. My mom said I needed to get over my issues with Cassie and stop causing drama. She suggested that maybe I was just stressed about starting college soon, and that's why I was acting out. It was like they couldn't even consider the possibility that they had done anything wrong. For the next few weeks, I felt like a ghost in my own home. My parents barely spoke to me beyond basic necessities. Cassie avoided me completely. The atmosphere was suffocating. I threw myself into my part-time job at a local cafe, picking up extra shifts just to avoid being at home. Things finally boiled over again last week. I came home from work to find my parents excitedly helping Cassie pack for a summer trip to Europe, a graduation gift they had surprised her with. They were discussing all the places she should visit and restaurants to try, laughing and joking like one big happy family. Meanwhile, I'm about to start college in the fall and they haven't offered me a dime of support. I don't even know if they remember which college I'm going to. I lost it. All the hurt and resentment came pouring out again. I yelled at my parents for their blatant favoritism. I told Cassie she was selfish for always accepting their preferential treatment without ever standing up for me. I brought up every instance of unfairness I could remember, the forgotten birthdays, the missed debates, the constant praise heaped on Cassie while I was ignored. It turned into a huge blow-up with everyone screaming. In the heat of the moment, my dad told me that if I was so unhappy, I should just leave. So I did. I packed a bag with some clothes and my most important belongings and walked out. I didn't know where I was going, but I knew I couldn't stay in that house anymore. Now I'm crashing on Mia's couch trying to figure out what to do next. I start college in a month and have no idea how I'm going to pay for it or where I'm going to live. My parents haven't reached out at all since I left. It's like they're relieved to finally be rid of me. I'm hurt and angry, but also scared about my future. Part of me wants to try to reconcile with my family, but another part feels like this might be my chance to finally break free from their toxic treatment. I could really use some advice on how to move forward from here. Should I try to mend things with my parents? Go no contact? How do I even begin to plan for college now? Any words of wisdom would be appreciated. Update 1. Hey everyone, thanks for all the supportive comments on my last post. I wanted to give an update on my situation. It's been about 2 weeks since I left home, and I'm still staying with my friend Mia. Her parents have been really understanding and told me I can stay as long as I need to. I'm incredibly grateful, but I know I can't impose on them forever. It's a bit awkward living in someone else's space, especially knowing I have no clear plan for the future. I've been trying to figure out my next steps, especially with college starting soon. I reached out to the financial aid office at my university to explain my situation. They were sympathetic, but said there wasn't much they could do this late in the game. They suggested I look into emergency student loans, but I'm hesitant to take on a lot of debt. The thought of starting my adult life deep in the red is pretty scary. I also got in touch with my grandpa Robert, 72mm. He's always been pretty neutral in family conflicts, so I wasn't sure how he'd react. To give you some background, Grandpa Robert is my dad's father. He's a retired high school teacher who lives about an hour away from us. Growing up, we'd see him a few times a year for holidays and special occasions. He was always kind to both me and Cassie, but he wasn't really involved in our day-to-day lives. To my surprise, he was furious when I told him everything that had happened. He said he had no idea things were so bad, and that he was disappointed in how my parents had treated me. He shared some insights about my dad's childhood that I'd never known before. Apparently, my dad had always been desperate for approval from his own parents, and Grandpa Robert wondered if that might be part of why he put so much pressure on Cassie to succeed. It didn't excuse his behavior, but it gave me a bit more context. Grandpa Robert offered to help me out financially so I can still attend college this fall. He said he'd cover my tuition and housing costs for the first year, which is a huge relief. I broke down crying when he told me. It felt like the first time someone in my family was truly in my corner. We spent hours on the phone, catching up and talking about my plans for the future. It was nice to feel like someone in my family actually cared about my thoughts and feelings. With the immediate financial pressure off, I've been trying to process everything emotionally. I still haven't heard a word from my parents or Cassie. Their silence hurts, but it also confirms that I made the right choice in leaving. I'm realizing more and more how toxic that environment was. I've started journaling to help sort through my feelings. It's bringing up a lot of memories, both good and bad, that I'm trying to make sense of. I did have one encounter with my mom last week. I went back to the house while my parents were at work to pick up some more of my belongings. As I was leaving, my mom pulled into the driveway. She seemed surprised to see me and asked what I was doing there. When I explained I was just getting some of my stuff, she got upset and accused me of sneaking around and stealing. I tried to stay calm and told her these were my belongings that I had every right to take. She started yelling that I was ungrateful and that I was tearing the family apart. As she was yelling, I noticed some of our neighbors watching from their porches. It was humiliating. My mom has always been obsessed with keeping up appearances, and here she was causing a scene for everyone to see. I didn't engage and just left as quickly as I could, but the interaction left me shaken. That encounter made me realize how deep the issues run. My mom couldn't even see me as an individual with my own needs and rights. Everything was about how it affected her and her image of our perfect family. It was eye-opening and heartbreaking at the same time. I'm still figuring out how to move forward from here. I'm looking into therapy options to help me process everything. The university I'm planning to attend offers free counseling services to students, so I'm hoping to take advantage of that once the semester starts. In the meantime, I've been reading some self-help books about dealing with difficult families. They're helping me understand that I'm not alone in my experiences. I'm also focusing on practical matters like finding a part-time job and sorting out my living situation for when school starts. I've been applying to every job listing I can find in the college town where I'll be living. So far, I've had a few interviews, but no solid offers. It's disheartening, but I'm trying to stay positive. As for housing, I'm looking into off-campus options since they tend to be cheaper than the dorms. I've joined some Facebook groups for students looking for roommates. It's a bit nerve-wracking to think about living with strangers, but it seems like the most affordable option right now. Part of me is scared about the future and going it alone. I've never lived away from home before, and the thought of navigating college and adult life without any family support is daunting. But another part feels a sense of freedom I've never experienced before. For the first time, I feel like I have control over my own life and choices. It's both exhilarating and terrifying. I've been spending a lot of time with Mia, and she's been an incredible support. We've been friends since middle school, and she's seen firsthand how my family has treated me over the years. She's always been there to listen and offer a shoulder to cry on. Her parents have been amazing too. They've been treating me like part of the family, including me in their meals and family activities. It's bittersweet. It's nice to feel welcomed and cared for, but it also highlights what I've been missing with my own family. I'll keep you all updated as things progress. Thanks again for all the support. It means more than you know. It's comforting to know that there are people out there who understand and care, even if they're strangers on the internet. Update 2. Hi everyone, I'm back with another update. Things have taken an unexpected turn and I'm feeling pretty overwhelmed. So, remember how I mentioned my grandpa Robert had offered to help me out financially? Well, apparently that did not go over well with my parents. Last weekend, my grandpa called me and he sounded really upset. He told me that my parents had found out about his offer to pay for my college expenses and they were furious. According to my grandpa, my parents showed up at his house unannounced and confronted him. They accused him of undermining their parenting and taking sides in a family matter. My dad apparently went as far as to threaten to cut off all contact with my grandpa if he went through with helping me. It got pretty heated, with my dad saying things like, "She made her choice to leave, now she has to deal with the consequences." I felt horrible. The last thing I wanted was to cause problems between my grandpa and the rest of the family. When I told him this, he reassured me that none of this was my fault. He said he was disappointed in my parents' behavior and that he stood by his decision to help me. He told me a bit more about the argument, including how my mom had accused me of manipulating him for money. It hurt to hear that they think so little of me. However, the situation has gotten more complicated. My grandpa revealed that a significant portion of his savings was tied up in a joint account with my dad. Apparently, they had set this up years ago to manage some family property. He's worried that my dad might try to block his access to the money out of spite. He's looking into his legal options, but it's going to take some time to sort out. This has thrown my college plans into uncertainty again. My grandpa still wants to help, but he's not sure how much he'll be able to contribute now. He's promised to do what he can, but he advised me to start looking into other options just in case. I'm back to scrambling to figure out how I'm going to afford school. On top of all this financial stress, I'm dealing with a lot of guilt. I feel responsible for causing this rift between my grandpa and my parents. Even though I know logically that it's not my fault, it's hard not to blame myself. I keep thinking about how things might have been different if I had just kept my mouth shut and endured my parents' treatment for a few more months until I left for college. I'm also angry. It feels like my parents are going out of their way to sabotage my future. They're not content with just cutting me off. They want to make sure I can't get help from anyone else in the family either. It's cruel and petty, and it's making me question whether I ever want to have a relationship with them again. I've been throwing myself into job hunting, hoping to at least save up some money before school starts. I've had a few interviews, but nothing solid yet. The clock is ticking, and I'm starting to panic a bit. I've been applying for every job I can find: retail, food service, office work, you name it. I even looked into online tutoring gigs, thinking I could use my debate skills to help other students. So far, no luck. Mia and her family continue to be incredibly supportive. They've told me I can stay with them through the school year if I need to. I'm beyond grateful, but I also feel like a burden. I know they have their own lives and responsibilities. Mia's starting college too, and I don't want my drama to overshadow her excitement. I've been trying to contribute as much as I can around their house, doing chores, helping with cooking, anything to feel less like a freeloader. Mia's mom keeps telling me not to worry about it, but it's hard not to feel guilty. I'm trying to stay positive and focus on the things I can control. But some days it's really hard. The uncertainty about my future is eating away at me. I've started having trouble sleeping, lying awake at night worrying about what's going to happen. I'm doing my best to take things one day at a time, but I can't help worrying about what's going to happen. I've thought about reaching out to my parents, but every time I consider it, I remember how they've treated me and I just can't bring myself to do it. Part of me hopes they'll come around and apologize, but I know that's probably wishful thinking. I'll update again when I have more news. Thanks for listening and for all your support. It really helps to have a place to share all of this. Update 3. Hey everyone, I've got another update for you, and honestly, I'm not sure how to feel about it all. So yesterday I got a call from my sister Cassie. I was shocked. I hadn't heard from her since I left home over a month ago. At first I was hopeful. I thought maybe she was reaching out to apologize or offer support, but that hope quickly faded. Cassie started the conversation by telling me how much chaos I'd caused in the family. She said my parents were stressed and fighting constantly because of me. She accused me of being selfish and not considering how my actions were affecting everyone else. It was like she was reading from a script our parents had given her. I tried to explain my side of things, but she wouldn't listen. She kept talking over me, saying I needed to apologize and come home. When I refused, she got angry. She said I was ruining her life too. Apparently my parents are so preoccupied with this situation that they're not paying as much attention to her anymore. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. After years of being the golden child, Cassie couldn't handle not being the center of attention for a few weeks. The conversation ended with Cassie giving me an ultimatum. She said if I didn't come home and apologize by the end of the week, I should consider myself cut off from the family permanently. She said my parents were prepared to write me out of their will and pretend I never existed. It was surreal hearing my sister, who I grew up with and once looked up to, speaking to me this way. I was stunned. I knew things were bad, but I never expected it to come to this. After everything I've been through, after years of neglect and favoritism, they're still trying to make me the bad guy. It's like they can't even consider the possibility that they might be in the wrong. I'm hurt and angry, but also weirdly relieved. This whole situation has made it crystal clear that my family's love and support were always conditional. They only wanted me around as long as I played my designated role and didn't rock the boat. It's painful to accept, but it's also freeing in a way. I no longer have to twist myself into knots trying to win their approval. As for my college situation, I've managed to cobble together a plan. I've deferred my enrollment for a semester to give myself more time to save money. It wasn't an easy decision, but it feels like the right one. I found a full-time job at a local restaurant and I'm picking up as many shifts as I can. It's not ideal, but it's a start. The work is hard and the hours are long, but it feels good to be doing something productive. My grandpa is still trying to sort out the financial situation with my dad. He's consulted a lawyer and is looking into separating their shared assets. He's promised to help me as soon as he's able, which gives me some hope for the future. He calls me every few days to check in, which means a lot. It's nice to know that at least one family member cares about my well-being. Mia and her family continue to be my rocks through all of this. They've assured me I can stay with them as long as I need. I'm working on saving up for my own place, but it's going to take some time. In the meantime, I'm trying to be a good house guest, keeping my space clean, helping with chores, and giving them privacy when they need it. As for Cassie's ultimatum, I've decided not to respond. I'm not going to let them manipulate me anymore. If they want to cut me off, that's their choice. It hurts, but I'm starting to realize that I'm better off without their toxic influence in my life. I've spent too many years trying to win their love and approval. It's time to focus on loving and approving of myself. I'm focusing on moving forward and building a life for myself on my own terms. It's scary and overwhelming at times, but it also feels liberating. For the first time, I'm in control of my own story. I'm starting to think about what I want for my future, not what my parents want for me. It's exciting, even amidst all the uncertainty. Thank you all for your continued support through this journey. Your kind words and advice have meant the world to me. I'll update again if anything significant happens, but for now, I'm just taking it one day at a time. Here's to hoping that the next chapter of my life will be brighter than the last.